C. All right, so parallelograms and their angles. The first thing we need to know is, what is a parallelogram? Well, a parallelogram is any quadrilateral where the opposite sides are parallel. So it tells me that right here. So AD is parallel to CB. There's my parallel lines. AB is parallel to DC. So that is definition of a parallelogram. You get parallel lines, opposite sides are parallel if I'm told that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. That's automatic. Then if those lines are parallel, so if this line is parallel to this line, then the other line becomes the transversal. Now, if you remember when we did parallel lines back in topic 2, I think, we said that same side interior angles were supplementary. So that means that this angle right here is supplementary to this angle, or that angle A plus angle B is equal to 180 degrees. Cool. That comes from the fact that they're parallel lines. It doesn't come from any other reason but the fact that they're parallel lines. So once we get the parallel part, then we also get that supplementary. Well, that happens all the way around the parallelogram. So, for example, if instead BC is my transversal and AB and CD are my parallel lines, now I say that B is supplementary to C. Well, I also know B is supplementary to A, which makes A and C congruent. Okay? So I get supplementary, consecutive sides are supplementary, consecutive angles are supplementary, and opposite angles are congruent. So what does that look like when I write it down? Okay, so 2 properties of parallelograms, 2 things that I get. 1, I get opposite angles congruent, and I get consecutive angles supplementary. Okay? All right. I want to find angles X, W, and Y. All right, so those are the things that I need to know. What is angle X, what is angle W, and angle Y? Now remember, opposite, so we had opposite angles are congruent, and then we had consecutive angles are supplementary. Supplementary means we add up to 180 degrees. So try this in the chat. You can drop it to me or you can drop it to everyone. I'd start with X. So what is angle X? What is angle W? And what is angle Y? Yes, very good. Okay, so angle X is 99. Why? Well, that's because opposite angles are congruent. So angle X is 99 degrees. Angles W and Y are supplementary to 99. So angle W is equal to angle Y, and it's 180, and that's equal to 180 minus 99, which gives me 81. So each of these are 81 degrees. Okay, and that's from this part. Angles are supplementary. Question. The first thing that I want to find is, what does T equal? And then I want to find the measure of angle N. Okay, so how are M and N related so that I can find T? And then once I find T, I want to plug it back in and find angle N. Okay, so if we're going to find angle T, we're going to set 9T minus 2 plus 3T plus 14 equal to 180 degrees. So the sum of the two is equal to 180. That's because these 2 angles are supplementary because they are consecutive. They're next to each other. So to do the algebra here, I get 12T plus 12 is 180. Then 12T is 168. So T is 14. To find the measure of angle N, I'm going to plug it in. 9 times 14 minus 2. And 9 times 14 minus 2, let me check on my calculator. 9 times 14 minus 2 is 124 degrees. That would give me enough information to also solve for angle M, P, or Q. Okay, so any of those, now that I know 124, I know that the other angles are 56. So if I wanted to go back in here, I could write them all in. So this is 124. This is also 124. And these would be 56 each. Questions? Good, Elliot. So we're finding the measure of angle X and we're finding the measure of angle N. So not angle X, we're finding X and then finding the measure of angle N. So on your own, on a piece of paper on the side, somewhere, try this problem and see if you can find X and find N. Okay, so if we're going to find the measure of angle X, these two are equal because opposite angles are equal. So this is going to be 6x minus 2 is equal to 4x plus 36. Now, guys, we're in advanced geometry. We're not in Algebra 1 anymore. So we're going to do this in one step. It's going to be simpler. It's going to be less work. And we're lazy mathematicians, so that's where we're going. So we're going to do plus 2 on both sides and minus 4x on both sides, all in the same step. We don't have to do it in separate steps. Those cancel and those cancel, so I get 2x is equal to 38. So x is equal to 19. Now to find the measure of angle N, I've got to plug it back in. All right, so to find the measure of angle N, I first need to find M or P. And either one I'm going to do in my calculator. So let's change colors. So I do 4 times 19 plus 36, and that gave me 112. So that means this is 112, and so is this. So to find the measure of angle N, I would do 180 minus 112, and that gives me 68 degrees. And this is also 68. Okay, so recap, opposite angles are congruent, consecutive angles are supplementary. Christian, that's right, you got it. Questions on angle measures? Okay, so when we talk about their sides and their diagonals, so we already know opposite sides are parallel. Well, we also know that opposite sides, ooh, that's terrible. I'm sorry about that. We'll try that again. There we go. I also know that opposite sides are congruent. Okay, so AB is congruent to CD, and AD is congruent to BC. Opposite sides are congruent in a parallelogram. So if I know that a parallelogram, if I know a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, I get that feature. The other thing I know is that the diagonals bisect each other. So that means that AX is congruent to XD, and BX is congruent to XD, and AX is congruent to XC. Now, one thing that everybody tricks up on, and if we were in class in person, what I would do is have you all actually measure this using like a piece of paper or something nearby. People think that the diagonals are congruent. They are not. AC is actually much, much longer than BD. And it's a lot longer. It's almost twice as long in most cases, depending on the parallelogram. So don't think that the diagonals are congruent in a parallelogram. They bisect each other. They are not congruent. In this picture, we're going to find the value of x. So we have to use what we know. And what we know is that the opposite sides are congruent. Now, I'm going to do this one with you, but if you don't need me to do it with you, y'all go on your bad selves on your own, try it, and then see if you come up with the same answer as me. So I know that these BC and AD are congruent. So, and it doesn't matter that I'm given some other information. That's what I know, so that's what I'm going to start out with to find the value of x. So I'm going to do 3x minus 2 is equal to x plus 4. Now again, I know that I can solve this in one step. So I'm going to add 2 because I like adding better than subtracting. And then I'm going to subtract x. Those cancel and those cancel, so I get 2x is equal to 6, or x is equal to 3. So the value of x is x is equal to 3. What is the length of AD? So AD is x plus 4, right here. So I just have to plug in 3. So 3 plus 4, and that's 7. The length of BD, let's change colors. BD is this guy right here. Well, half of this diagonal is x plus 2. So I need 2 of those, 2 x plus 2's. Well, 3 plus 2 would give me 2 times 5, which would give me 10. Okay, so that would be how I would apply the information from that slide before. Any questions? All right, I'm going to give you some time to try this on your own. Drop me your answers in the chat. We want to find the length of JH. JH is half of FH. Then we want to find the length of EG. EG is all of that diagonal. And then FH, which is the whole other diagonal. And this will be another way where you can see that the diagonals are not congruent. So try this one on your own and then drop me a line in the chat. So to find the length of JH, we know it is congruent to FJ. So it's also 4. To find the length of EG, we know EJ is congruent to JG. So this is also 5. So 5 plus 5 would give me 10. And then the length of FH would be the 4 plus 4, which would give me 8. Doing okay? Questions? Okay, so we're going to find the value of x, and the information to find the value of x is given right here. So xz is the entire piece here, 7x plus 1, and pz is just this little piece right here, 4x minus 1. So remember, we know pz and xp are congruent, so we can label that one. Then we can find an equation and see if we can solve for x. So first you're going to solve for x. Then you'll plug in and tell me xp, and then xy should be pretty simple to do independently. So try those on your own and drop me a line when you know what you got. Okay, so what I'm going to do in order to find x is I'm going to add the two pieces together. So I've got 4x minus 1 plus 4x minus 1 is equal to 7x plus 1. So I've got 8x minus 2 equals 7x plus 1. So I'm going to add 2, subtract 7x, subtract 7x. So I get x is equal to 3. To find xp, I plug it in. So 4 times 3 minus 1 is 11. So that's my xp right here. Remember, they're congruent. Diagonals are bisected. Okay? Yes, Isabella, you got it, girl. Okay? And then the length of x of wy. Yes, Rabin, that's right. The length of wy is I've got this 8 right here plus this 8 right here. So it would be 16 total. Okay, so here's the things I know about a parallelogram. So opposite sides are parallel and congruent. Parallel and congruent. I also know that opposite angles are congruent. I know that consecutive angles are supplementary, meaning that they add up to 180. And I know that the diagonals bisect each other. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I know about parallelograms. That's going to be really important when you're trying to do your homework tonight.